And good evening, live from our Marysville headquarters. I'm Ted Langdell with the first results of Yuba County. And actually, I just checked, and there is a new report from Yuba County, but it's going to take me a little bit to process some of those so you can read them. In looking through what we saw, the results have not changed dramatically. So we're going to show you what's going on with the results in Yuba County. So give us a second here. Looking at the city of Marysville, it looks as though incumbents are being returned, and that would be Bruce Buttacavoli and Brad Hudson, who both have more results than former city council member Stephanie McKenzie, who was running a rather challenging race here to try to see if she could unseat either Buttacavoli or Hudson. So those are the early results, and the results have not significantly changed in the second result that was just output at about 10 o'clock, which was about 13 minutes ago. Moving along to other results in the Marysville Joint Unified School District Trustee Area 4, which I think is up in the foothills. I'm going to have to check that. Brett Butler is leading in this race by 51.6 to 48.4%. And I'll also check to see who he may be succeeding in that particular district. There were two members that apparently held their last meetings today. One of them was Randy Rasmussen, who's been on the board for about 8 years now, and then Jeff Bloom, who has been on the board for something like 20 years. In the city of Wheatland, it looks as though former city councilman and local insurance agent Robert Coe is going to be one of the members on the city council being elected. Angela Teeter is leading the other challenger, James Pendergraft, with just a few tenths of a percentage point. So that is a race to watch in our other results. Moving along to the Wheatland School District, while we're down in the southern part of the county, as you can see, there were three seats open and a whole bunch of people running. We'll let you pick the leaders here. It looks as though we're looking at 21.7% Christina Steinman, 18% for Reagan Waltz from the Waltz family down there, and 13% for Taylor Zapata. So those three people appear to be leading in the Wheatland School District, where 3 seats were open and a whole bunch of people were running. In other races of note, there were local ballot measures that affected the Plumas Lake and Wheatland school districts. The Wheatland Union School District bond measure for to help build a high school in the Plumas Lake School Financing District 1 basically was one of those, and it requires at least 55% of the registered voters voting on the measure. There was also Measure Q, which also would replace leaky roofs. This was for Wheatland High School itself, and that also required 55% approval. Let's take a look and see what happened there. Excuse me. Also, $45 million in bonds issued in the Plumas Lake Elementary School District to deal with overcrowding and other issues going on in that district, as Plumas Lake is one of the bigger growth areas, or the big growth area in Yuba County. Taking a look at what happened with the bond measure for Measure P, it's being approved in the early results. It came out just with the mail-in ballots, 52.36 to 47.64%, approving Measure P. And Measure Q also appears to be approved by the early voters, and bond measure in the Plumas Lake District, Plumas Lake Elementary District, also being approved. Now, let's go to the races that people have been watching up in the foothills. And it looks as though, surprisingly, given the amount of challenging that was going on in the North Yuba Water District, incumbent Director Doug Nielsen is pulling ahead of the other two challengers for the Division I seat, Alton Wright, who's run for supervisor previously, and Renee Wood, who was also on the slate that was challenging Nielsen, who's been one of the board members that has generated controversy up in that area. But it looks like Nielsen is being re-elected, 56.36 to the other challengers with less than that, noticeably less. However, it looks like Chris Cross may be bounced out of office. He was appointed to the Division 2 seat, and challenger Stephen Ronenberg leads him 51.25% to 48.75. Still a tight race there, and other results could change that. But look at this runaway down here. Challenger Marike Fernie is bouncing Gary Hawthorne out on his ear by 81.3% of the vote to 18.67%. She has been protesting and protesting and protesting, and it looks like protesting is paying off there in that division. And also, Ann Plum is leading the pack, leading incumbent Ginger Hughes by 49.48% to Ginger Hughes 30.93%, and Sarah Napierski is trailing at 19.5%. So it looks like there's going to be some changes in the North Yuba Water District Board, and people may begin to see getting some irrigation water, which is what the challengers have been looking for, challenging the incumbent board, most of which was appointed, to deliver irrigation water and fire protection. Speaking of fire protection, Charles Sharp, who is the proprietor of the inn that's up in, I'll remember here in a minute. You know, you get older and you begin to lose your mind is what you do. Anyway, Charles Sharp, who's been challenging Gary Hawthorne, the incumbent on Dobbins Organ House Fire Department there, he's leading the pack in these two seats, 40.12, and Lenny Pasosa looks like he'll be the other person if these early results hold. Gary Hawthorne, who has been also on the fire district, looks like he's going to be out of office there. Moving on to some other results, Browns Valley Irrigation Director District Division 3, voting for one. It looks as though Bradley Rist is going to win that seat if these results hold. And in Division 5, Mike Howard, a runaway with 60.81% of the early votes, beating Kurt Kaiser quite handily. There are a couple of other, that's the last of the races in Yuba County in the early results. We'll go compile the first results here, or the second batch that just came in about 20 minutes ago, and bring those to you. We checked Sutter County, and it looks as though the Sutter County clerk is sitting on the early results that we brought you about an hour ago. So no real changes there. And if those early results hold, it looks like Sutter County's Measure A, the sales tax increase countywide, will be approved, but by a narrow margin. It's leading very slightly, but still above that 50% mark. So the big races in Yuba County would be Marysville City Council, where, as we'll go back and show you, the City Council race is looking like it's going to be both incumbents Bruce Buttacavoli and Brad Hudson return to office. And in the North Yuba Water District, it looks as though the North Yuba Water District will have some new directors and maybe some new direction for us to be reporting on as things progress. So, coming up in just a few minutes, as soon as I can manage to get the graphics put together for you, we'll bring you the updated results for Yuba County in the 10 o'clock results in probably about 15 minutes. We've got the system down, and we will be working on that. And while we have your attention, if I may, let's tell you a little bit about what else is going on in our results elsewhere. Again, this is the Marysville City Council vote, and in our first results. But we also want you to know about some of the other things that are happening in our coverage. For example, we will be bringing you, aside from election coverage this week, we're going to be bringing you the Veterans Day Parade coming up at 11 o'clock, or actually we'll start our coverage between 11 and 11:15, give time for the parade to actually get down to where we can see it around 4th Street and D in Marysville. So sometime between 11 and 11:15 we'll start our Veterans Day Parade coverage coming up this Friday. And then we'll have government meetings November 15th and also again on November 22nd. Those are our regular Tuesday meetings. We also will have other things going on this month that you probably want to know about. Football, if you like youth football, we've got a good slate of youth football. The Cali Bowl coming up on Saturday and Sunday, live from Yuba City High School. These are 14 and under, 13 and under, 12, 10, and 8, I think, and under youth football teams from as far away as Hawaii, Washington, Reno, Sacramento, and down in the San Joaquin Valley. And there are some other teams that we haven't yet been apprised of, but we will let you know more about that. That's what's coming up the weekend after Thanksgiving. And then coming up in December, we've got other fun stuff for you to watch. On Friday, December 2nd, the Marysville Christmas tree lighting live right about 5 o'clock. From the Christmas tree at 3rd and D Streets. That coverage being underwritten or sponsored by Adventist Adventist Plus Ride Out Health. And we will also have the Marysville First Saturday reports coming up the next day, Saturday, December 3rd. Then at 5 o'clock, the Marysville Christmas Parade live beginning around 5 o'clock. We also wait for the parade to get down where we can actually see it. So do stay tuned right about 5 o'clock. Like and follow our coverage here, and you'll be able to be notified as to when we are going live so that you are able to know more about what is happening here in Yuba and Sutter counties. So, like and follow, turn on notifications so you know when we're live, and we will be continuing with our election updates with Yuba County and the second batch of results coming up, I think, in about 15 minutes, as long as I can manage to get all of our graphics together. It takes a little bit of time to do that, but we will be back. I'm Ted Langdell, and you are watching Yuba-Sutter.live. Yuba-Sutter.live is your local source for all kinds of cool stuff, including Yuba-Sutter election results tonight. So stick around, and we'll be back.